Lance Archer did a promo about Jon Moxley, and they did a good job. They can be serious. It's Archer and Moxley next week. And then I hate it when I have to destroy friendships. Our boys have made a serious error. Our boys have made a drastic mistake. This is what it's come to. This is what FTR is going to have to live with from now on. They're not changing AEW to become more professional like them. AEW is changing them to be part of the goddamn clown show like the rest of them. They got nobody to work with. They don't have anybody to be matched with that understands how to fucking work. And they've got, except for Kazarian and Sky and Daniels, any combination of that trilogy, they don't have any fucking athletes to goddamn work with. So Hybrid2, Jack Evans and Angelico. I've seen Jack Evans since he was in Ring of Honor years ago. I'm surprised he's still able to walk. I don't know where Angelico came from. I assume there's not a lot of food there because he's so skinny. He uses Cheerios for hula hoops. From the time they come in the ring, Evans and Angelico, when Angelico does that dance and thing he does when he gets in the ring.
He was doing it as he walked to the ring, to be fair.
Yes, as he walked to the ring. I wrote, I wish he was in a motorcade and I was on a grassy knoll.
Oh, come on.
That's just instant fucking heat with me. It just, and the Young Bucks were watching the monitor in the back over their shoulders with their backs turned, but they're turning over watching it, and they got pissy looks on their face.
Raw style. That's the way you watch TV on Raw, where you're facing one way, the TV's facing another way. They're learning. They're learning.
Did you hear that Tony Schiavone, who was double super kicked last week by the Young Bucks, referring to them, he seems to be just fine, and he says, well, I'm not going to hold a grudge. I always liked him. What the well, then why did they even do that? If he's next week, he's back, he's fine, he's not even holding a grudge. So I wrote as it started, how can this match work? Because this match can't work. Because two of the people in this match can't work. And seconds later, Jack Evans had slipped or stumbled on 3 different kinds of flips. Angelico got in the ring, and he looked like if Jim Neighbors as Gomer Pyle had suddenly been stretched out to 6'6" and lost 60 pounds. Then FTR starts out trying to do these idiot shit. Instead of having their own match and making the underneath guys that are there to put them over conform to their style, they're trying to be charitable and do the kids' shit. And the kids' shit looked like shit. And besides, here comes Angelico while FTR is on the floor. Angelico does a crossbody off the stage, and they catch him together. These across both of their bodies. They're standing up. And then Jack Evans runs across the ring, jumps over the top rope, and cannonballs all 3 of them, and everybody goes down. See, Holland, Ridge, you fucking idiots. You're going to blow this. Next time one of these goddamn jack-off preliminary fucking ballet dancing cocksuckers tells you, FTR, that they're going to fucking dive on you, tell them once, no, you're not. And if they persist, when they do it, just walk out of the fucking way. They've got an investment in you there. You're the best tag team in the world, and there's no reason to get hurt by job guys doing gymnastics. And that's the advice that I would have told them in the locker room if they were working for me, and I'm giving it to them here for free on the radio. And then Jim Ross said he took 3 men out, and one of them was his own. He had to call attention to the fact that what Jack Evans just did was fucking stupid. Then they go to the break. Can you imagine if the TBS squash matches on the Saturday night show were 20 minutes long and went through 3 breaks with Ron Rossi and Vernon Deaton against the Road Warriors?
Oh, God, no.
They came back on skinny white guys with bad haircuts wrestling. And FTR was getting heat on the leg of Jack Evans, who actually did sell it coming up when he did that flip dive. So at least there was some train of logic in this. The FTR works the leg well, but still, fuck. Evans gets a decent hot tag to Gomer, and Gomer made a weird comeback with all this weird shit that he does, and then got both members of FTR in a submission hold while he was on his back. Got the second one in the submission hold when he already had the first one in it by just sweeping the guy's ankle with his fucking foot or whatever. Do you remember when Bill Mulkey did that to the Midnight Express on TBS? Got them both in a submission hold at the same time? It was a hell of a spot. People popped. And then Dusty Rhodes fired all four of us. So then they hit Cash with a finish that could have killed him, and then followed it up with a cheerleading flip where the one guy put the foot in the other guy's hands and he flipped him backwards so that he could... God damn it. And here's another free tip. I told you were going to learn a lot about pro wrestling if you're an aspiring pro wrestler on today's program. Did you see the way that the Hybrid were tagging out? Angelico's on the apron. Evans is in the ring. Evans goes to tag Angelico, and Angelico holds his hand up like for a high five. No, dipshit. The guy on the apron holds his hand out, palm up. Because think about this. If you're moving around in the ring and you go to fucking tag your partner who's on the apron, that high five bullshit, unless you're just standing right flat-footed in front of him, it's easy to miss. But if you're doing something, you got a hold of your opponent, and the fucking guy on the apron holds his hand out, palm up, and stationary, then you just have to slap down on it. Now, sometimes if you're in the ring and you've got a hold and you want to switch, then you reach up and now your palm is up because you're stationary. But then the guy on the apron is reaching over and fucking slaps your hand. But they're just awkward all over the fucking place. Everybody went back and forth. FTR was trying to do their shit, these guys' shit, instead of get theirs over. Evans got up on the top rope, did a corkscrew leg drop where he flips backwards and does a flip and a twist. Corkscrew leg drop to leg drop Dax and completely missed Dax. Landed in front of him, except Evans's foot landed at 100 miles an hour, by the way, 1 inch from Dax's face. And Dax kind of sold that because, like, maybe nobody will notice because he didn't know what else to do since the guy landed on his ass next to him, completely missed him. And then without doing anything else to Dax, Evans just gets back up to the top and moonsaults him. And Dax lays there for it. This is the most goddamn amateurish. Cash then started stooging for fucking Angelico's bullshit fake kicks. I wrote, this is the biggest bunch of contrived video game looking bullshit that I've ever seen in my life. Evans kicked out of all kinds of shit and just emasculated FTR. They are two flaccid penises. They have no fucking credibility, no respect from anybody, no goddamn intimidation factor. They can't beat this fucking fishy white fucking gymnast. They're just impotent. And finally, they did the superplex and splash on him, and finally that put him down. Angelico hadn't been seen for a while at that point. They got rid of him somewhere, thank God. This was the worst FTR match I've ever seen. And folks, if anybody's wondering why I never considered managing FTR in AEW after the first AEW show I saw, it's because I knew this was what was going to fucking happen. And I would have never considered it. The Bucks were at the monitor then, after FTR wins, and fakely, is that a word, Brian? Fakely? It is now.
It is now.
Fakely noticed the cameraman there who's been shooting him through the whole match and double super kicked the cameraman and made, quote, unquote, in quotation marks, funny remarks to bury the whole segment as being completely ridiculous, which actually the Batch had already done that. But then FTR was in the ring looking at the Bucks super kick the fucking cameraman on the screen when the Good Buddies music played. And they came out to the stage wearing T-shirts with FTR depicted as hot dogs and called them weenies and claimed to be the number one contenders and have a title match next week, and then beat up FTR and stole the tag team belts. Where I wrote see above paragraph, where I noted this is why I never considered managing these guys, not because they are not a quality team, but because I knew what was going to happen. And so far, correct me if I'm wrong, Brian Last, have I predicted everything that was going to happen in this company since before they even did television? Well, they couldn't be serious. They couldn't leave well enough alone. They couldn't goddamn get anybody over. They couldn't book anything that made sense. They couldn't hire talent at the expense of their friends. This was offensive. Fucking Marks booking in their basements. FTR, I'm sorry, guys. Should have stayed where you were, because at least may not have been happy there, but at least you weren't being embarrassed like this on television. And also, WWE is going to be around in 5 years. And I still think TNT is going to come to this. Somebody in TNT management is going to watch this program one of these days. Anyway, we had more well wishes. Shaquille O'Neal, Gene Simmons, Don Callis. One of those things is not like the other two. Lars Ulrich, DDP. And then, did I give you an opportunity to comment on FTR? I'm sorry. I'm so verklempt at this. Talk me out of this, if you can.
Well, there's no reason to apologize. I agree with a lot, and I disagree with a little bit. I don't blame them for leaving WWE. I also feel bad about the position they're in, because they are in a company where there are very few options to have a good, serious wrestling match. This team, Hybrid2, is fucking awful. And I know a lot of people are going to go, oh my God, but Jack Evans does amazing flips, and Angelico dove off a high structure in Lucha Underground. They were so bad in the ring. While the match was happening, I started feeling bad. There was a couple of spots with Dax where he's such a phenomenal worker, and you could just tell he's working with someone who, despite being in the business for a while, and Jack Evans, has no idea how to have a regular wrestling match. And Jack Evans, he just looked like a mess.
Shit's coming from all directions, and I wouldn't be there for any of it.
No, I feel bad that they're in this position. I didn't like the match. I don't blame FTR at all, because they're the best tag team in wrestling. They were put in there with two guys who are not very good, and they were given way too much time to be in there with two guys who are not very good. The Young Bucks thing backstage, completely ridiculous. I like the Young Bucks as heels, but the Young Bucks as badass heels that just go around super kicking random people, no way. Not buying it. Not very good.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Just awful. It's so ridiculous. And again, I hate pretentiousness in wrestling. They are so fake. Just the way they do their promos, the way they carry themselves. Nick Jackson's more realistic than Matt Jackson, because Nick doesn't open his fucking mouth. He just stands there and lets Matt do his pseudo acting. But then the best friends thing is what got me.
Yeah.
That's what got me. And that's when I really started to feel bad for FTR. Because you know that Tony Khan loves this shit. And anyone who wants to say that Tony Khan has any idea what he's doing as a booker, go watch this. Because this was awful. This was awful wrestling booking. This was an awful television segment.
If you think it's bad booking, imagine how fucking I feel.
If FTR left AEW, AEW would lose the best tag team in wrestling, who have had better matches with almost every tag team in there than anyone else could have on a regular basis since they first debuted. If AEW lost the best friends, it wouldn't matter. Everything would move on.
Can we please take up a collection for AEW to lose the best friends? They're on TV every fucking week.
And their gimmick is they're kids. They call the other team weenies. They're driving around in minivans. Yeah.
They're in their 30s, but they're riding in their mom's minivan. Chuck Taylor's inexcusable in any aspect of wrestling. He's inexcusable. Trent could have been something, but now he's forever, unless he was to shave his head, get tattoos all over his whole body.
It doesn't matter. He's proven he's a moron too. Just because he's on the gas and he has a physique doesn't mean he's not as much a moron as Chuck Taylor.
He's got some talent. If somebody was around that could tell him what to fucking do, you could get something out of him, but it's too late now as the people have seen him like this, and Taylor, as I said, is inexcusable and inexplicable.
They suck in every sense of the word. They suck in the ring. They suck on the mic. Every promo, every angle that they're involved in is stupid. Fuck the best friends. And I feel bad for FTR, because FTR is a phenomenal tag team. Two guys who are both great workers. I'm not even going to mention Tully because he's a non-factor in all of this.
Well, yeah, they're the only team in the world that has a fucking manager that does nothing. And it's not Tully's fault. He got up on the ring apron and distracted at one point. Last week, he pulled a fucking leg. But the heel team with the heel manager are the more likable people than the fucking two babyface middle schoolers that are fucking now supposedly heels that just have pissy face. And the Bucks were presented as fucking babyfaces for 9 months without FTR. FTR, the best heel team in the business, comes in and then they switch heel too.
And we already know what's going to happen next week. They're going to wrestle the best friends. It'll go through 2 commercials. One of them will be picture-in-picture. And they'll completely outshine the best friends because they're not very good in the ring. And there'll be some stupid shit, and there'll be the hug spot because I can't get enough of that stupidity. Seriously, fuck these guys. Fuck them. Chipper. And fuck Tony Khan for booking this shit.
All right, calm down.
He tries to go out there and try to, I was a tape trader and I did this and that. You are an idiot, and you have moron instincts.
We have more shit left to go, so save a little bit of it. But having said that, I understand. And here's the thing. Any fucking idiot that's been watching wrestling for 20 years could do a better job than this. He never got it to begin with. He's been trading tapes and watching spots. And he's got a soft spot apparently for people that are nice to him, because elsewise half these guys wouldn't have jobs.
I know a good portion of the major tape traders in wrestling, or, that were in wrestling when there was tapes to be traded. I would venture to guess almost all of the ones I know, John McAdam, Jeff Baldwin, any of them would do a better job booking this than Tony Khan.
Anyway,
even if you want to argue that he's not a money mark, which is a ridiculous argument to take.
I don't want to argue.
I'm not saying you, but the people out there, even if you want to argue that he's not a money mark, his booking shows that he's just a mark. Awful. Just garbage. Best tag team in wrestling. And they got him doing a stupid long match with a garbage tag team and then a stupid angle with a joke tag team.
All right, save it, because I've got to fucking knock a tag team match later on, and you're using up all the material. I won't have anything left.
No, there's always more. There's always more to say.
Well, that's true.
About this stupid show.